Bohemian Road. If you have not been there, try and pay us a visit. Because the building that we inherited and we have renovated and we are starting up there. Well, the title of my presentation is Preparing to Teach, which is Foundations to Pedagogy. If you look at this, is this half full or half empty? Is this cup or glass of wine, is it half full or half empty? Somebody say half full, somebody says half empty. Well, then in relation to that, are teachers made or born? You can see we have the divergent view, and that's why I say your perception matters. Whatever response you give is informed by certain deep ideological, philosophical, orientation, and it matters, as we're going to see as we go. Our teacher's blessing, of course. There are many of students who pass through us who say, oh, if not for my teacher, I wouldn't have been able to achieve it. And there are people who say, oh, I would have been a doctor, but for that terrible teacher. So it's also a question of the way we look at it. Now, in this presentation, we are going to examine your new environment, which is the University Community of Scholars. Your duty as a university professor or teacher. Then we examine some best practices in university teaching, and then we are going to examine some words from some mentors. Well, that was Anita Libeb's fellow music, and he was actually telling us that the lecturer is what? It's a teacher. Because sometimes we say, oh, I'm a lecturer, I'm really not a teacher. Fella settled that a long time ago. They are also using him as we call him a mentor, a resource person. So, in essence, what we are saying is that as a university academic who teaches, you're also a teacher. The concept of, oh, I'm just a lecturer, some use it with this impression that, oh, there are certain things I'm not supposed to do. The lecturer is also what? A teacher. Now, if you look at the university where we're employed now, it has a long history. And then we can trace what we are doing, what we have today, to the background of, Plato's Academy, which was established 387 BC, 387 years before Christ. That was what is similar to today's university when it was established. Isocrates School in 393 BC. 12th and 13th century saw the establishment of the earliest medieval universities. I was in Geneva, Switzerland a couple of years back for a conference. And that year, I was celebrating 68th Founders Day. I got to that university, and that year they were celebrating their 450 years in existence, University of Geneva. I was so shocked that, oh, this is history, that I immediately sent a text message, I think a mail, to the then Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, that was Agbaji, saying that we must acknowledge the strides we have made in just 60 years, whereas the University of Geneva was by then 450 years. That is the history we carry, and university is a universal community. You have Oxford University, you have University of Ibadan, established in 1948, and that's the first in Nigeria. And we take pride in that, because being the first in the country also imposes huge responsibility on us. The first set of university actually came up as association of students, who contracted lecturers to teach them. As students, we hire somebody to teach them. That's how university actually started. So it's a guild, like an association, professional association of masters and their students, for the generation of and dissemination of knowledge in law, theology, medicine, Latin, grammar, and so on. That picture shows a typical university environment in 1350. The whole idea of lecture actually started with the use of this lecture, where they stay to teach. That's where the whole thing started. Now, the teaching learning environment is a very complex thing. When you say we are teaching and it looks so simple, there are so many factors at play. You have the learner at the center, but there are so many other variables that affect whether a child will learn, the extent to which that learner will learn, and whatever success he will make of it. We have teacher factor. And sometimes we concentrate so much thinking that the teacher is the most important factor. It is not. Subject matter, home factors. Any learner is coming from different homes, and those factors a child is carrying into the school can also affect learning. You also have group factors. What kind of group is the learner moving with? Is it a group that enhances his knowledge or not? The learner factor. There are so many factors within the learner that might make the learner to learn or not. Is the learner in good health or not? Or does he or she have a problem with sight and so on? Societal factors. If the school is saying so much that you must learn, you must do well in school, but society outside is emphasizing money, wherever the money comes from, it will affect the extent to which learners will learn. No matter what you do in the school, but outside, they are saying that wherever you have money, even if you are a primary school leaver, you can become a local government chairman and buy anything in the world. Then, whatever you are telling the students in school, they will just be looking at you. Look at Mr. So who didn't go beyond primary school. So, then, learner-teacher factor, by the time learners and teachers interact, forms a factor that can affect learning. The method we use, the level of friendliness, and so on. If you recall, there are teachers that we model simply because you love them. You don't want to disappoint that teacher, so you put extra effort into your course in that way. Compared to a teacher who doesn't even care about you, who doesn't know you. So you don't put so much, students don't put so much effort into that. But the fact that the learner is at the center is also a philosophical and ideological issue. It means that all these factors are supposed to serve the interest of the learner, not the other way around. That's what we call learner-centered concept of teaching. Next slide. Now, when we're talking about what makes learning possible, you have the subject matter. You are an expert in physics, chemistry, geology, languages, and so on. But that alone will not ensure that learning takes place. You also have pedagogy, which is the science of teaching, or if you are humanity-based, art of teaching. By combining the subject matter and then pedagogy, then you will achieve learning. Don't let us overemphasize one against the other. You also have some requirements for effective teaching, and we listed quite a number here. You have your CD, which you are encouraged to look at. Knowledge of subject matter, knowledge of human development and learning, and so on. Professional commitment and responsibility. These are factors that can ensure effective learning. Then attributes of effective teachers. There are certain attributes that a teacher is expected to have in order to be effective. They are listed here. Should be enthusiastic, warm and humorous, credible, having high expectation for success, encouraging and supportive, business-like, adaptable and flexible, and knowledgeable. Those are factors. And let me just inform you that those are factors that were built into the instrument that the university is using today to assess, for students to assess their lecturers. We developed that instrument, which we are giving to quality assurance now to use. So those are the factors built into them. Now, what are the components of a good lesson, a lesson plan? Because you can't just go into a class and start teaching. You must prepare and plan for it. There are certain components. I was informed that there's an instrument that we're supposed to fill first before going to all this. But we want to also measure the impact of this training on you. So if you have gotten that, you can by line take that. Now, a good lesson plan will have personal or classroom data or information. When you are planning for a class, you should put there what course you are teaching, how many students, what's the average age of the learners in your class, and so such information are important because they also affect how you plan for that class. Then any subject you are teaching, any course you are teaching, you must have objectives. What are those things you want to achieve at the end of that lesson? Even if you are teaching for 10 minutes, you must have objectives, and those objectives should cover a wide range of areas. There's what we call the cognitive, all the skill, learning, and all that, and the theories and so on. Those are cognitive, all these ideas, knowledge, based. Then you also have what we call the affective domain of learning. And these are the values you expect learners to acquire from a course. What are those values you want them to acquire? There's no course that you teach that is not based on making them to form certain attitude. So you must also formulate, an objective towards that. Then you also have psychomotor domain, and those are practical things. Maybe at the end of that class, you want them to be able to demonstrate certain things. You must put it as one of your objectives, so that at the end of the day, when you are developing your evaluation, you measure them according to what you expected them to do. Most of us, when we assess our students, it just not related to anything we have done. And students must be aware of that. When I started, I told you what we are going to do. So at the end of this presentation, you will also assess me and be able to establish as it delivered on this. So this is the way best practice in teaching and learning. Then you have introduction. You must introduce your lesson. And there are so many ways of introducing a lesson. When I started, I gave some pictures and asked some, general questions. These are, method. You can crack jokes. You can do what? You can show clips. You can show anything just as introduction, something that will lead to the body of what you are going to do that day. Then the presentation of the lesson itself, or the course itself, and these are made up of teachers' activities and student activities. In most cases, when we teach, not the teacher is doing the teacher. When the teacher is doing that, what do you expect the student to be doing? You must also involve them in what you are doing. Then, at the end of the day, you must have a summary and conclusion. As they will say, when you want to start a lesson, tell the class what you want to do. Say what you want to do. Then say it, and then say what you have said. It's like repeating the same thing in 3 different ways. And this course, you are going to do this. Then do that thing, and at the end of the day, tell them what you have done. If you have repeated something in 3 ways, if somebody missed the first part, you will pick, the middle. If the person misses that, you pick at the end. So it's very important. Then evaluation. It's very important to evaluate every class. After you have finished, ask some general questions to be able to know that students have, gotten information you are giving them. It could be test, it could be oral question, it could be whatever. Every course should be evaluated, and then give assignment. It could be reading assignment. It could be go and look at this. As I was doing, I was telling you certain things that you should check on your CD later. So that's part of the assignment that you should be able to give. Now we have wheel of instructional choice. There are so many strategies you can use in teaching and learning. We have listed about 30 here. So check them all so that you know that it's not, the teacher is not restricted to just teaching by lecturing or by just talking, or there's so many things. So check that out. Now there's also something about reflective teaching. Reflective teaching means looking at what you do in the classroom, thinking about why you do it, and thinking about if it works. It's a process of self-evaluation and self-observation and self-evaluation. So reflect, a teacher must always reflect, about what he or she is doing, to know whether it's working or not. If you are not doing that, then you are not reflecting over what we are doing. Now, I got this quotation, a very popular quotation that I always use from the Bible. It says, that's James 3:1. It says, let many of you become teachers, my brethren, for you know we who teach shall be judged with greater strictness. The only thing says that this job we are undertaking is a job that has huge spiritual significance and huge responsibility. In fact, we are being cautioned, don't go into teaching because your own judgment will be stricter. But again, those who can teach. It's only those who can. And then what we say what? Let's read this. Yes, we can. It's only those who can who teach. And we are saying yes, we can. But it's not only yes, there's a lot of responsibility around it. Next slide, please. Now, we have duties and responsibilities for a university teacher or professor. Some of them have been captured by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, and then with teaching, research, and services. But university professors, like one of them who just came in, they teach research knowledge as a major service to the community. That's the nexus between the components of our responsibility. A teacher, that's why we are different from some other kind of teachers. It is your research knowledge that you teach. you research in order to teach, and then it's service to the community. But these days, questions of relevance, commitment, and expertise are now being raised. Because people are saying, people go to university now, they don't know the impact on them and so on. It's like people are asking how relevant is what the university is doing today. Pius Okibo, sometimes ago, also raised this question of crisis in the temple. And the summary of his essay in that paper was that the university, or generally the intellectual community, has declined, has descended to the abyss because of what he says. The unfortunate thing that the intellectuals, on their own free will, submitted themselves to the superior leadership of the ignorant. You find out that because some people want to be vice chancellor, they want to be this, they were going to military colleges and sergeants to prostrate. And so people have been looking at professors at that level. So professors are also like this. So they also fight for petty things. So they are also like this. So, and that's what brought crisis to the university community. And then the decline in respect and all that. Now, we have here some 5, I'm giving some tips of teaching techniques. Always have genuine purpose behind the lesson you are delivering. Make sure the material is engaging and interactive. Allow students the opportunity to direct their own learning. Mistakes are an integral part of the lesson process. Celebrate them. It's not that the teacher is, King Solomon. The teacher can make mistakes, and when students point it out, acknowledge it. If student has certain questions, if you don't have ready answers, I will check that off for you. What young people hate is hypocrisy. They are not expecting somebody to have it all. And you see, in the age of internet and all that, there are information available to your students that you may not have. So why pretend? So let them know that if they have such information, let them give it, acknowledge it. There's really nothing. In fact, Socrates, one of his greatest statements is that he says, knowledge begins when the man realizes that he does not know what he thinks he knows. So, philosophers will always tell you, I don't know. But if you claim to know something, then you must be ready to prove it. So, let's always understand that. Humor releases tension. Use it often. When you are teaching, learning anything is difficult. So try and make the class friendly. Make the class friendly by cracking jokes. Encourage students to crack jokes. They will make some fun of you as teacher. Don't get unnecessarily worried about that. They will give you nicknames, whether you like it or yes. But what you need to do is work towards getting a positive one. If you are fond of doing something negative, they will give you a nickname related to that. Some people, have you seen Dr. M today? They will give you that. I used to know a teacher in a secondary school. He was called Mr. Brown. Because Monday to Friday was always in this monkey jacket, brown color. So the students are giving him name Mr. Brown. He didn't know. Until someone careless student called that name to his face. But he also made mistake of how to handle it. He got so angry. So all members of the school didn't know that name before. He got to know it. So he became permanently Mr. Brown. So sometimes when peradventure students give you a nickname you don't like, don't get angry. Pretend that you don't know. And then change whatever led to that. Over time they will forget. That's the strategy of dealing with it. Education is hustle. If you are in the education field, the university environment, there's a joy that people have they are envious for. There's a joy in imparting knowledge, and we should celebrate it often. I've given a YouTube channel here. I will watch later at your convenience. It's also to give example of what you can do. When you are teaching, you can give even YouTube that can be a resource to teaching and learning. Teaching tips now. Some of the tips of teaching. Precede statement with this is important. When you want to make a statement in class, this is important. This may be required of you. This point may come out in your test. Every student will pay attention. These are some of the techniques that you can use. You pause a little when something important is coming. So these are tips that you can use. Changes in environment recruit attention. sometimes use the class, sometimes take them out to go and observe certain things. You know, change environment often, and that will enhance attention. When vary your pitch and intensity, sometimes you just deliberately lower your voice. They know that it must be for emphasis. Sometimes you raise the pitch. All those are techniques you can use to catch student attention. Pace of lecture, visual cues and gestures. Make gestures and so on. The teachers will not just stay in a point, you know, like robot. Move around, interact with students as you teach, you know. Then movement to the chalkboard. If you are doing something and you move to the chalkboard, they know that you are calling their attention, you know, to something. Demonstration, use of educational technology, audio visual, jokes, all those are useful. In this age, we use Facebook to teach, you know, because students, they are almost permanently on Facebook or Twitter. You can't get them off such things. They have to be then deploy such things for educational purposes. There are people who will be talking about that in our subsequent presentation. Ability to unpack, repack, and unload the content of your teaching will reveal your expertise. When you listen to somebody deliver, you will know, students will know whether that person knows his or her onions or not. You know, the way you deliver and so on. Somebody goes to the class with a textbook always and is reading from that textbook, they will know. There was a teacher those days, they said the teacher was teaching history. And there was this particular historical event that was always teaching about certain wars. They would say the war was sporadic, fighting was intermittent. And it's the same note from year to year. So students don't bother to write notes, they just collect the notes of their seniors. So we got to the class that day, it's a very popular topic. The war was sporadic, the class of chorus, fighting was intermittent. So you already know what you want to say, and what it was embarrassed. So always vary what you give. Because students interact, they will correct their notes. If they see that there are no variation, they don't bother. Auditory attention is directed by visual attention. That is what you listen to is also guided by what you see. If you see certain pictures, there are certain things you also want to follow it. Note taking aids retention and recall. You know, sometimes you dictate some things in the body of the lecture. Skeletal outlines may help, but detailed notes lead to passivity. So you don't have to come to the class and say you are just dictating everything for them. It's not helpful. Just give them skeletal points. They will develop it. Lecture that presents a systematic, concise summary of the knowledge to be covered in the day's assignment are conclusive oriented. But the lecturer's task in the university teaching is not to be a fountain or encyclopedia, but to teach students to learn and think. So they are not expected to know everything or to supply all the information. Teach the students to think and learn by directing them to places where they get the knowledge. I had to change my own orientation to even being in the educational industry for several years. When I went on the study to University of Iowa, and there was this, immediately I got there because I was going to study for 3 months, best practices in pedagogy of higher education. But immediately I got to the College of Education, University of Iowa, and they asked me, what are you here to do? Everybody was, you must see me, because they have a system there. Every year they award best or excellent teachers award, and that man has won it a number of times. So everybody was like, we are here, you must meet Mitch. So I met Mitch Kelly, and I will go to his classes to observe his teaching. After the class, we will meet and discuss an observation and so on. One of the days, sometimes you come to the class and use video of wrestling, and he's teaching psychology. We watch video of wrestling and all that. So I met him one day and I said, Mitch, you know, I admire the way you teach and all that, but my worry is your ability to cover the content. He looked at me and said, cover? I thought, don't they have cover in the English dictionary? You know, Americans have a cover from there. I said, cover. It made me look a bit stupid sometimes, but later I said, look, it's not the business of any university teacher to want to cover the content in the course outline. Your responsibility, touch the most important aspect, then direct them to where they will get materials and whatever for the rest. Don't they have books? Is the library not there? Is the internet not functioning? When I came back, I changed my orientation, and I've been highly rewarded for that. You know, I start the first 2 lectures or 3 lectures by giving detailed things, this is what we are going to do and all that. Then I form students into groups and I assign the topics. You do your group assignment, you come and present. Initially they will be resistant because nobody wants to work hard, you know. But when you insist, you'll be surprised at the level of input that students can put into their own learning. So students will now come, they will make presentation, I will be at the back, will critique it. Some other people will ask questions, and when they know that their presentation is going to attract marks, they put effort into it. We also create competition between and among the groups. And in this instance, now that I'm even very busy, I don't even have to be in the class. There are times that my graduate student or my teaching assistant will be the one to go to the class to coordinate presentation. So the fact that I was not in class will not even affect teaching and learning. And these are some of the things we can learn. Sometimes I'm outside and I send certain things on their Facebook page. You know, because we create Facebook page for every course that I teach. So all the groups, they will post things there and so on. I can send messages and so on. So these are some of the methods we can use to make learning effective. Yes, we said we can ask, put questions on slides, you know, key concept or relationship, and put them on slide or on the board. We can then ask students for show of hands if they want to, you know, make contribution. Put students in pairs or groups to discuss. We are going to do that as we go on. We are going to do group work. Use audio, video, or real object for illustration. Maintain classroom decorum. A good class is not a class where everybody is quiet, it's keeping me. But the best class is also not a class where everybody is just behaving like the market, you know, going to the market. So there should be a mix in the two. Now, after this, I have some words from mentor. This is Mitch Kelly that I just spoke about, of the College of Education, University of Iowa, USA. He's a clinical associate professor and must have become a full prof now. What they have there is also that they have teaching professors. They also have academic or research professors. You can rise to the highest level if you go on the line of teaching professors. It's not so much of research output, particularly publishing in paper. They require few ones for them. But if you are an excellent teacher, you can, through that, be recognized for it. These are blends that we have not done here. When I sent this out for a number of people to make a contribution, it's still a growing thing that I'm still doing. He sent his contribution by saying that he got a mail from a former student of his telling him that my work with him 8 years earlier set him on a course to become not only an educator but a dean of students in Chicago. You know, I asked a number of professors and people to send in short illustrations of their joy as teachers or certain challenges or why they think this job is for them. So we harvested a number, but we are going to publish this with time. You know, here we have Professor Lainka Onigordon, who is in the College of Medicine here. She says, one of the things that has helped me in my role as a university teacher, a mentor, researcher, and clinician is that I'm deeply passionate about my work. You know, if you're passionate about your work, you will infect people around you with that. Professor Akoroda, the Department of Agronomy, I think he's a rector or provost of an institute, a Greek institute now. He said, like road signs, lecturers show the way, but only the student must travel. Mentoring remains the core of good teaching. Students learn when supported to stand, argue, prove, and demonstrate viewpoint. They mimic their mentors and see the world from diverse perspectives while interacting with the environment. Yes. We have Professor Emeritus Professor Abiola Iduniodeji, Department of Communication and Language, former Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic. She said, as I attend student functions, academic and social, I never cease to be amazed at the immense talent and potentials locked up in these young people. When they recognize me and reminisce about their university days and my interaction with them, I know for sure that if I have another chance, I will be a university teacher and mentor all over again. Next. We also have Professor Mingordon, former provost of the College of Medicine. Teaching others something that I know or think I know is something I find tremendous pleasure in. I consider being paid to do it a bonus. Teaching and research are my passion, and I'm so glad that I have found my own niche in academia to engage in activities that provide short film. Just scroll down. We have more, and it's something in that. Let me pick this. Professor Olurena, she told me of that experience. And there was this particular student in her class that she was always very hard on her because she wasn't putting in enough effort and so on. So the student then came to her one day and said, "I've come to thank you, ma'am." I said, "What? I know you care very much for me. I thank you very much." I said, "Despite all my being hard on you and so on." And then the lady then narrated her experience, how being hard on her has transformed her life and to have achieved. Said, "I was aghast because before I could utter a word, my eyes were moist." So it's that when you are making students learn, some of them are considered difficult, harder, but they come back later to you to thank you. If you want to become excellent teacher, there are certain guides. These are also mentors. So we are going to the next 5 minutes. Just do this. Who is your favorite teacher and why? Just discuss with the next person next to you. So ask the next person to you, who was your favorite teacher and why? Then the next, and then you also take this. What percentage of students brain power do you get them to use? What percentage of students brain power? So next 5 minutes. 2%.
Eventually, I ended up making my knowledge. So I also came into leadership to train English teachers. Yes, actually, what I actually like but this one has your motivation. Actually, one of the hidden factors of that's taught me to come into academics. Actually,
now, your responses. Let me start from there. So, who was your great teacher? Why?
Professor River.
Why?
Why? Well, he was a teacher. He was not the type of somebody that will be a kind of teaching us everything. He will give us the schedule work, and he will allow us to go out and do the remaining on our work. Then when we come back to the class, he will ask us to come and become teacher to the classroom.
Challenge you.
Yes, he challenged us.
Okay. Pass for the next group. Yes.
My own best teacher was when I was in secondary school, my maths teacher, because he normally, the way he taught us, he made us to understand that this is very simple. And today I believe mathematics is the most simple subject. While in university, Professor Lula happened to be my best teacher, and today I've been going through his own part also, because most of the courses that he taught, that's what I've been teaching also.
So you can see the impact of teachers in our lives, molding us.
My best teacher, now a reverend, was a music person. And each time he taught us in the choral study course, we first introduced the class and say, please, my students, I don't play piano. But one of you will play the piano for this particular topic. And then he will pick a particular student. And after that, he will now demonstrate the style of conducting for that particular song. And then I'll ask each of the students to come and conduct the same thing. And invariably, years after, we have said that all of us from that class conduct the same way this one conducts.
Made impact. Yes.
My best teacher is Dr. Bode Palomo. He was the first person that took us immediately cross over to the clinical side. And the way he interacted with the class was so personal that